You are now watching Zach Lesage, the best place to learn about competitive Pokemon TCG. Let's get it! What's poppin' peeps? Welcome back to the channel, Zach Lesage here. We're going to be going over another one of our early deck lists, and that's going to be featuring Greedent VMAX with its big stocks attack. Not ability, attack. Its attack for 2 colorless energies does 30 damage, which sounds terrible for a stage 1 VMAX Pokemon, but if your opponent's Pokemon, basic Pokemon that is knocked out by damage from this attack, you are able to draw 2 additional prize cards. If you knocked out a Crobat V, you're drawing 4 prize cards. If you knocked out a Sobble, you're going to be drawing half of your prize cards at 3 prize cards. Certainly there has to be room in the metagame somewhere for this deck. If not, this is going to be a great place to start off, and maybe you're going to be the one that makes the next great iteration when it comes to this deck. These are all my early ideas, so I do want to stress those off enough. As a competitive player and a player who's been playing Pokemon for 15 years, I try my best to bring the best Pokemon content for our community. That doesn't necessarily mean that these are going to be the most polished list. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to have all the translations right. These are lists before we have an official English set list, and these are my early ideas. If it helps you out during your Fusion Strike kind of content, whatever that you're looking for, that's awesome, and I'm super glad that I can make some entertaining Pokemon content for you. If you're not about it, I'm sorry about that. I will have regular content resuming within the next little bit, just kind of working on these decks because we've covered pretty much everything when it comes to our Evolving Skies format. That being said, let's jump into the deck list and see exactly what we have going on today. Here's our Greedent VMAX deck list. I think Greedent VMAX has a very powerful attack, and almost any attack that draws extra prize cards has the option to be viable when it comes to playing Pokemon. Something that I've noticed over the past 15 or so years, extra prize cards drawn, totally a good thing. So for double colorless energy, Greedent VMAX, which is kind of the star of the show, has its big stocks attack. It does 30 damage, and if your opponent's basic Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this attack, take 2 more prize cards. So our goal is to knock out our opponent's Pokemon with big stocks whenever possible, and make sure that Pokemon is basic. If it's a Pokemon V, you're going to be drawing 4 prize cards. If it is a just basic Pokemon, you're drawing 3 prize cards. So the easiest scenario is to knock out 2 regular Pokemon because they have lower HP and just do extra damage with big stocks. Now, when coming up with this deck, I thought of a bunch of cool ways that you could do it. There's all those kind of gloves, and even in this set, there's kind of a sponge glove that does an additional 30 damage to water-type Pokemon. So you could actually knock out the Sobble from, I believe it's Chilling Rain. Yeah, the Chilling Rain Sobble, because it has 60 HP, and you could kind of work that combo. I think most players by then, if Greedent becomes popular, are going to switch over to something else. And I mean, maybe this works, maybe it doesn't work, but that's why I was like, you know what, let's just do quick shooting. We have access to Zigzagoon, we have access to Scoop Up Net, and let's make sure that we could kind of bring up our opponent's Pokemon, hit them for some damage, and then go for big stocks whenever possible. So, big stocks plus extra damage counters of quick shooting, Zigzagoon, that sounds really cool. We can actually use Toy Catcher, so if they have a low amount of HP, something that we're going to target with big stocks, that works out particularly well for us. So Toy Catcher actually has a home here in this deck for what I'd say is like the first time I've ever seen Toy Catcher being played in a deck. I could be completely wrong, and it could be something where Toy Catcher just is not as good as what we have for other options, but switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon that has 50 HP or less remaining with your opponent's active Pokemon. To me, that just seems like a card that was made to abuse with big stocks. Now, the other strategy that we have with this deck is in the new Galarian Corsola. So Galarian Cursola has this busted attack that allows you to kind of bring back one of your opponent's Pokemon. Forced Revival puts a basic Pokemon V from your opponent's discard pile onto their bench, and if you do, you could place damage counters on that Pokemon until its remaining HP is 30. I can see that totally being awesome to just bring back a Pokemon V that cannot evolve, such as Crobat V, so you don't have to worry about it evolving into a Pokemon V Max or into a Pokemon V Star, anything like that. Hit it until it has 30 HP remaining, bring it up, big stocks, draw 4 prize cards. Beyond that, I mean, the deck is pretty much like all relatively used cards already. So much to the point where we already have the Greedent V in our standard formats. I decided to use this one because it has access to Crunch, and discarding energies from your opponent's active Pokemon might be a really good way to kind of reduce their HP down. So I thought that just like Crunch was good, and this way it allows us to play Capture Energy to search out some of our other Pokemon. So the main strategy is targeting on Pokemon that have a low amount of HP that we could quickly bring up and go big stocks mixed with Toy Catcher, Boss's Orders, etc. We have Echoing Horn to bring those same Pokemon back. So let's say if they have Sobbles or Lotads, anything else like that, we try to chain react those with Echoing Horn, Scoop Up Net, Zigzagoon, Quick Shooting, and we have the Shady Dealings engine to search out all of these cards. Now, if we're dealing with a fresh Greedent VMAX, we can also use Raihan, if one of our Pokemon was knocked out last turn, to kind of get set up all at once. Galarian Corsola, great at kind of filling in that gap if we can't necessarily go for quick shooting or anything else like that. Now, don't be pressed. You might have to use other attacks such as Crunch to get there, or you might actually have to try to knock something out with Greedent VMAX using Max Greed twice. 160 times 2 knocks out most VMAX Pokemon, so there are other ways to get those attacks off. But I think it's kind of funny to see Greedent VMAX work. And I mean, there's other things, like I said, I thought about Bayonets, I thought about the Sponge Gloves. There's cool text that you could add into a deck like this. Beyond that, this is what we have going on for the deck. I know it's not necessarily the most exciting list, it's not the most tier 1 deck, but as we're covering these new decks, I also want to let people know, like, I will be covering all of the new ideas that I think could be viable. And maybe we're one card away from Greedent VMAX being perfect. Maybe this list is actually way more competitively viable than I thought it could be, right? That's really for the Pokemon community to decide on for their own, because I'm creating these deck lists so the community has skeleton lists or very good starting points so that everyone can kind of test on their own and understand why these cards are good, or understand that if you are building a Greedent VMAX deck, this is my thought process. By no means are these going to be the most 100,000% polished list. Some are going to be better than others when it comes to Greedent VMAX. I think a lot of players are going to have different ideas when it comes to big stocks. I've heard of players even testing Orbeetle VMAX just to bring all those HP down. It's hard to find a basic Pokemon to knock out. The more kind of specific an attack gets, because this needs to be 30 or less HP, so you could do big stocks and get the knockouts, or you have to increase the damage of big stocks, which might be difficult as well, and they need to be a basic Pokemon. So this tries to really go for the core of that to make sure that it could happen. So what I'd recommend is that this seems more like a good league deck or a good league challenge deck, local tournament deck. I wouldn't necessarily bring this to a regionals tomorrow, but I do think that Greedent VMAX does have some certain potential, because any attack that has always drawn extra prize cards, all the way from kind of Guzzlord, that would do some cheesy things for like 4 energies, that saw play and expanded, all the way up to ADP Arceus Dialga Palkia, that was really like one of the kind of eyesores of the format. A lot of players did not like that card. A lot of players voiced their opinion about that card. So I think that Greedent VMAX kind of fits in there somewhere. Again, not sure if this is going to be the 100% end-all be-all take when it comes down to it, but the strategy and synergy between big stocks, using Galarian Zigzagoon, Inteleon, Galarian Cursola, even throwing Toy Catcher in there, lots of cool things that you could do with a deck like this. So give it a whirl. The list is in the description as well, so you can kind of maybe copy it into PTCG Live by the time that comes out. You can't copy and paste it into PTCGO because these cards are not available yet, nor do I think they'll be available on PTCGO with the timeline of PTCG Live coming out rapidly soon. As soon as we have more information on that, I'll totally keep you updated myself. And that's what we got going on for this video today, peeps. Hopefully you enjoyed learning a little bit more about Greedent VMAX. I think this, I don't know if it's a squirrel Pokemon, definitely part of the rodent family. Greedent seems like a cool deck, nonetheless. And it's something that, you want to know what, I'd really like to experiment with, maybe create some content showing some games. I think it's one of those big stock moments, is really that like, wow, the whole crowd goes wild and Big Stocks knocks out this Crobat V for 4 prize cards and wins the game. Like, these comeback from behind mechanics always seem to be crowd pleasers, so I really hope in the near future to be able to play some physical games with these. I'm currently in the process of getting a overhead setup so a little surprise. I do want to extend a great thank you for all the help from the Shuffle Squad. So we're really working on improving my content, whether it's for the Shuffle Squad's channel or my own channel. Everything that I will do is just really for the Pokemon community. So I hope that you guys and everyone else watching enjoys it. So thank you so much, everyone. Give this video a like if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll catch up with all y'all next time with some more awesome content. Peace out, peeps, and have a great day. I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. It means the world to me. And my goal with this channel is to spread my love of the game and knowledge with our entire Pokemon TCG community. If you haven't already, help signal boost this video to other Pokemon TCG fans by liking it, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. Hopefully we reach our goals really soon. Check out this recommended video, and have yourself a great day. Thanks.